We're on to week 3, this time being routines and physical activity. And the first question to ask is, what are the benefits of having a routine? It's something that's mentioned quite a lot at the moment, given the demands of lockdown and associated things. So I'm going to go to you first on this, Tara. What are the benefits of having a routine?
I guess there's different opinions based on different personality traits as well. I think people have sort of mixed opinions, whether they're like to go with the flow and quite spontaneous and can see routines as quite boring, or people who, they love lists, they love to-do lists, they like ticking things off and that sense of accomplishment. And I think for me personally, I think as human beings, we all crave some sort of routine. We like things to be a constant and the same, especially the time we're in now when there's a lot of uncertainty, and knowing that you've got that thing that you do at 2 p.m. every Thursday, or that phone call with so and so on this certain day, can actually bring us a lot of peace of mind, and actually reduce stress, anxiety, and obviously have a better outcome on our well-being, and I guess provide that certainty that we don't have, especially now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the certainty is one which jumps out, and every human being has a desire for certainty, whether that's high in their list of priorities or it's a bit lower. But as you say, at the moment, it seems to be particularly important. For me, I think the benefit of having a routine is it gives us some control, and it gives us an insight to the things that we can actually shape and influence, rather than a whole day being something which is subject to outside forces. And I found, I don't know about you, but having more organized, being better organized, certainly reduces my stress. If I've got a busy day, lots of things on, rather than having everything in my head and trying to work out what I'm going to do first and how different things interact with each other, having a routine or having a plan that's linked to it does help to reduce those stress levels. Is that something that you subscribe to?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you as well. And also I find on my days off, when I've almost got too much choice of, oh gosh, what do I do today? Especially when we're limited to what we can do, actually having certain things which I can stick to and have a look at what I can do almost make me more productive. I find if I've got almost too much choice, I just become extremely procrastinated, and I'm not focused at all. I guess on the other hand, you could argue if you've got too much of a routine and we become too rigid in that way, we can't be flexible, and that change or not being able to adapt can actually affect our daily lives and can lead to even more anxiety and stress. So I guess it's finding that balance and understanding yourself and what works best for you.
Yeah, I've found, and this is perhaps a hybrid of the two, that I want to have a routine that allows some of that flexibility. So it could be at, for example, 5 p.m. at the moment, working from home. I'll give myself an hour where I'm not designated anything. So it's not to go away and do anything in particular. I can do what I wish with that, whether it's watch the telly, go outside, or anything like that. So there can be a little bit of a blend within that. I think also what having a routine gives us a chance to do is form good habits and recognize what works and what doesn't. So things that we realize we can add in or develop, as well as things that we can focus on maybe removing or at least reducing a little bit. And I found with things that we mentioned earlier on in this program, sleep, that contributing factors towards when I've had poor sleep had been part of my routine, whether they were good or otherwise. So it can help and aid with that sleep diet there as well, and prioritize what's important. So to go through it like that. Now, I'll just move on to this next bit, which I think is an important thing to consider, and that is what ways there are to set up a routine. Because someone might be watching and listening and thinking, yeah, I would benefit from a routine. I would benefit from having some more control over what happens in my life, but what's the route to it? How do I do it? So what kind of things have worked for you in terms of the structure of a routine?
Yeah, again, I think it's extremely individual, and again, knowing what works you best. So you know, if you're a morning person, brilliant, get up early and get your most, you know, your to-do list ticked off by, you know, 2 p.m. the day. I know for me, I'm a massive morning person. I like to do all my admin stuff and exercise in the morning, because post 4 p.m. I'm useless to anyone really. Especially in the winter when it gets dark, all I want to do is just relax and have downtime. If you're the opposite and you know you're like a late night and you're really productive in the evening, then great, stick with that and let it work for you. In terms of, I guess, how to set up a routine, there's different ways. You know, I'm a big fan of using a diary and writing out what I've got on a Sunday, so I know exactly what my week roughly looks like. A little bit OCD, it even comes to writing down the meals that I plan for the week in terms of training. And I coach in the evening, so I finish at 9-10 p.m. most nights. So for me, it's knowing, okay, well, how am I going to fit my eating around training and coaching? It could even be a sticky notepad. You know, oh, I need to message so and so. I need to send, you know, my Mother's Day card on Friday to get to the Sunday, and just putting it on a sticky notepad by your bedside table or on your mirror when you brush your teeth in the morning, and just to make it as easy as possible. And again, sort of reducing that stress or removing almost a decision making for us. It's there in front of us. We can't miss it. We know it's on the list. Just get it done, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a book which is somewhere behind me. I was hoping I could remember the title. Yeah, called the Organized Mind. I should have been able to remember pretty much what we're talking about. And within that, the author talks about the benefits of getting things on paper or post-it notes or a electronic device as a means of outsourcing what you have in your head, and I suppose freeing up some of the space to be able to do other things. So when you mention there those techniques, I think they're really useful. Three things have been the route to me to trying to shape my routine, and one is to have a diary of events. So per day I'll set out with a piece of paper and put the hours that I'm going to be working, or the hours across the whole day that I'm going to be awake, and then fill in what I need to do around that. Now, for some, that'll be too rigid. People will think, oh, I've got my every minute is planned out here. But on a really busy day, that has a benefit to me. But also, it might be at a weekend or a day where I'm not working or I don't have any commitments. It can be sometimes, like you mentioned, tricky if you've got almost too many options, and we do in this day and age. Let's ignore lockdown for a minute, let's pretend we're back to normal, and we could be thinking, wow, where do I go? There's so many places to go and spend our money or spend our time, and the choice can be overwhelming. So I might just get a set of goals that I want to achieve that day. They could be big, or they could just simply be processes that I want to follow. And then you mentioned the to-do lists, which can be really useful there as well. So that can be what helps to then form a routine, where it might be a little bit more of a reaction to what happens rather than consciously building things in there. So like you've said, good, get stuff done in the mornings, because later on you understand that it's maybe not your most productive time of the day. So something for people to think about would be, when are their most productive times of the day, and how the routine can go in with that. So what do you typically use to structure your day, or is there nothing typical? Does it depend?
Yeah, again, so like I said, on a Sunday I write out, you know, my training dates, coaching times, you know, anything I've got on, and so I know I've written that out, and I know what my week looks like. Obviously I remember being at uni when you've got deadlines coming out your ears, you've got social events going on, and I was terrible for, you know, sort of lying in bed and thinking, oh gosh, I've got to do this tomorrow, and I would just be awake for hours. So for me, even now I've got a notepad next to my bedside table. So if I do remember, you know, those random thoughts that come into your head at, you know, 11 p.m. at night, and if I can't get to sleep, then I'll write it down, and then I know in the morning I can look at it, and it puts my peace of mind. And yeah, it makes me more practical, and in the morning when I'm still waking up and I've forgotten those things the night before, I've got them in front of me. So for me, that's really helpful, but I know that can be really rigid and borderline OCD. So again, yeah, it's completely personal.
Yeah, and that's the thing to reflect on, what works. what do you want to get out of your day, or what do you need to get out of your day, and where's the blend between things that are compulsory and have to fit in at a certain time, and then the things which you've got that bit more flexibility about. So whether it's someone's study or their job, it might be that certain times you have to be there. So for your training, it's not an option, you're there, but some of the things around that you can put in other ways as well. So yeah, there's some ideas on ways to set up a routine. Now, our other side here is about physical activity, and I think the best way of getting that established or refining what we already do is to think of where it fits into a routine. So you've mentioned already you prefer to do things in the mornings. Just talk me through a little bit of what that looks like, if it's self-led, and also if it's something which is being done as part of your training program with the squad.
Yeah, sure. So normally in the morning, I actually haven't done this for a few weeks, but sort of around February time, I got into a really good habit of waking up, 20 minutes of meditation, which, I didn't even think about it. It was just something that was just part of my daily routine. And then stretching, because I know at the end of training, when I haven't got time to stretch after, I'm going to suffer the next day. And for me, that was something which, I don't have to do something really intense. It's something which I really enjoy. I know I'm going to benefit from, and it's something which I can go at my own pace because I'm not very flexible at all. So it's something which, yeah, I enjoy it, and I know that's going to bring me a good day because I've stretched and I can train well. At the weekends, I guess for me, again, after a long week of training, I don't want to do a 10K run because that's got no interest in me. It might be for other people, and that's absolutely fine. But even like going for a walk or going for a swim and sort of really low intensity stuff, which has nothing to do with my cricket or sport, but just my own mental well-being. And again, it gets me out of the house, which I think a lot of people obviously want to do right now, and they can't.
Yeah. Now, physical activity is talked about a great deal in terms of mental health. Lots of studies to indicate how it can be beneficial. And I jotted down one earlier, which I think must be about the biggest one that's ever been done. 1.2 million individuals involved in this between 2011, 2015, tracking their habits, tracking, I guess, their use of exercise as part of a routine. And what this found was that those who did exercise for, in this case, I think they reached the optimal point was 45 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week, had 43% fewer days of poor mental health compared to those who didn't. Now, of course, there'll be lots to read beneath that about what exactly they were talking about with exercise, how we define day of poor mental health. Is there really people in that 1.2 million who did absolutely no exercise? I'm sure there's loads of things there, but just as a headline, that definitely makes us think about the impact that it can have, and how it can be something which is not just about the things which we do for goal setting, or we do as target driven, to lose weight, to maintain body image, to be quicker, faster, stronger, everything for sport. Also the things which are just there more day to day. And that's something I'd like to touch on, that for us both to say, but also for others, what's the purpose of your physical activity? That's always a question worth asking. Why are we doing it? Now, we're going to have two different perspectives on this. Mine as someone who, for me, playing a bit of cricket is part of my physical activity, which helps other areas of my life. But then from your perspective, having to do physical activity as a professional player, then what's outside? Is there physical activity that's just for you, or those kind of things? So what's your take on it at the moment, given you part of your job is to be physically active?
Yeah, I guess it being compulsory, obviously, it's purely performance based. That I'm in the gym and I'm running. Obviously, I enjoy it as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. But I think there is almost this sort of negative, I guess, relationship between exercise and, like you said, if you build physical activity or exercise around weight loss, or I need to lose X amount of pounds or kgs, then we almost have this like negative stigma around exercise, rather than actually, we know it increases our mood, we know there's so many physical and mental benefits of physical activity, but yet some of us still don't do it, or we don't do it often, or it's seen as a chore. And actually, like you said, if you have that perspective of exercise, well, it's not about the outcome, it's actually how I feel, what I get out of it, whether it's moving my body in a really low intense way. You don't have to punish your body, or tear a muscle, or get DOMS the next day to feel like you've done something. It is about finding something which makes you feel good inside, and then in the long term, the relationship you'll have with exercise, you should hopefully have on the long term, and you'll build such a healthy relationship. And I hope, for me, when I stop playing cricket, I hope I will still carry on doing sport, at least exercise, because I know it makes me feel amazing when I do it. And plus I love to eat, I love to go out for food, so I know I can sort of find that healthy balance as well.
I recall a debate that I followed a few years ago, and I'm sure it's one which pops up periodically because it is still really important. And this was around how exercise can almost be used as a punishment sometimes. And we might go back to really old school PE lessons.
Yeah.
In the dark ages almost, where it's people, they think of a circuit training and they come out in a cold sweat thinking about what they were put through. But also sometimes in sporting environments where people who are there are wanting to be physically active, you can have this element of mistakes are made and the punishment is to do certain amounts of shuttle runs or to do press-ups and so on. And I look at that and think, purely from a personal perspective, I love doing shuttle runs, right? That's one of my favorite things to do in any walk of life. I love it. I don't know why. Well, I think I do. There's lots of reasons behind it. The satisfaction of completing it. It's methodical. You can tick them off one at a time, keep going. So if a coach was to say to me, right, this hasn't been done well, go and do 10 of them, I'm more likely to mess it up so I can get to
just so you can do it.
Yeah, I prefer that to fit. If I drop a catch and it's like, right, do 10 shuttle runs, right, next time I might as well head the ball because I want to do the shuttle runs. Now that's a little bit odd. I know that there's probably not many people who'd be to that extreme, but in all seriousness, I think that has always been a concern, that people might dish out physical exercise as a punishment, and there could be some of those relations with it as a result, when really it is meant to be something which is for benefit, for something that you should find a route to enjoying it. So when you say there's elements of what you do in your formal training which you do enjoy, and that's in a way taken care of for you because there's programs that you follow either individually or as part of a group, what do you like to do away from cricket which involves physical activity?
So away from cricket, again, I'm really competitive, so and any sort of racket sports I love playing. So in the summer, if I can, I'll have a game of tennis wherever possible. But actually this lockdown, I've really got into swimming, and I live 10 minutes from the seafront, so going for an open water swim has been amazing this lockdown, and actually just to focus on something completely different and non-sporty, completely off-grid to cricket, and also a real challenge as well, to get in some cold water on a weekend has been a lifesaver for me, really, and a change of scenery, and yeah, so many benefits to my weekends and my sort of off time from cricket. And again, I mean, I'm not saying I'm swimming as fast as I can, it's literally trying to stay afloat, and then when I get too cold I come out, so it's really low intensity, but yeah, for me I feel incredible after.
And I would say that for anyone who is playing cricket seriously, whether that be professional, aspiring professional, or a really good club standard, and some of the work that they're doing is directly linked to cricket performance, then fantastic. It's always worth reflecting, can I get something else from exercise or physical activity? Or you might say, I do that work in the gym, that takes care of that. My other time I'm going to do for other things. But I know from, I mentioned to you earlier when I was speaking to players in academies about a year or so ago, we discussed that about who's your exercise for. Is it for you cricket, that side of you? Is it also for you as well? And what some of the players were saying was just enjoying things like taking the dog for a walk, or playing some football or another sport and things like that, which doesn't always have to be about going to achieve a particular goal. And my side of it is, as well as the shuttle running, which I've confessed to, is walking, which I really overlooked until probably 2 years ago, about how beneficial that could be. And I jotted some things down. These are the only the things that came to mind. I'm sure there's a host of others. That the benefits I would get from walking are that it helps to give myself some time to myself. So particularly at the moment, get out at lunchtime and it's not a screen telling me what I have to do or something like that. You get some satisfaction from it, even if it is just a 10-minute walk around the block, to say, well, I've done something there which I know was good for me. There's no preparation needed. Just wearing what you are for work is of course a removal of a barrier for it. Helps tap into some of the mindful exercises that you can do. So particularly at this time of the year, when the trees are changing and nature is changing, it's actually quite a treat to go out and experience that and see all of it. But it also, a couple of other things, I won't list them all, I just find it helps me to be quite productive as well and be creative, because I'm taking myself away from maybe the desk and just allowing thoughts to come in. And sometimes you get the best moments, those eureka moments, when you're just concentrating on anything other than what you're meant to be. And to tap into some goal setting as well, I like to cover a certain amount of kilometres a week, and I'll do the bulk of that through running. But then also I can think, well, if I go out for half an hour at lunch, that will be something that contributes towards it, so it's going in that direction as well. And let us not forget, probably finally, it's an opportunity to socialise, which we've been lacking a lot at the moment. So it might be whatever we're up to at the moment, the one person from outside your household who you might be able to see, great, do that walk with them. So that's definitely something for us to think about and to plan in this, is like, who's the exercise for? And yeah, I mean, I'm already thinking about that from there. Let's put these questions up then and see what we think of in terms of a summary. Where are we?
I think also as well, sorry, with the walking, seeing as that's, you know, all you can do at the moment, and that's your only sort of social time with another person. Actually, when we spoke about the, you know, the healthy swaps from last week, actually a swap you could do with your routine could be, you know, rather than having dinner in an evening and then looking straight on Netflix after dinner, you know, it could be that let's go for a walk after dinner and then we'll come back. And actually, you know, if you're not doing loads of exercise, you might find that you're not tired in the evening. Okay, we'll go for a walk for 20 minutes and actually see how you feel after. Notice something different. Go with, you know, a family member, work off your dinner, and actually you might feel a bit more tired and actually have a better night's sleep as a result. So there's loads of sort of things which I think will come into play with even, yeah, just changing up your routine for the better, and creating these healthy habits around that, like you said.
Great point. Yeah. So the three things that we're going to have on the PDF related to this are, first of all, how I will set up my routine. And you've given your insight into how you set yours up with a forward look on a Sunday for the week that goes ahead. I talked a little bit about the day-to-day one where I'll have it scheduled out, but we both talked about things like a diary by the bed or post-it notes to write those kind of things up there. What you just mentioned is great there for an addition and a subtraction to help well-being, which we'll come to in a second, and how I will use physical activity. So going back to that middle one there, I think we can finish off by offering a couple of things that might have worked for us in terms of in a routine, an addition and a subtraction to help with your well-being. So what's in there for you, as well as perhaps walking to replace a bit of time on the sofa? What other addition would you maybe want to be including, and what might you want to be taking away as you craft your routine even further?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I've been saying all year really that I want to do more reading. So for me, I guess probably swapping, yeah, watching something on the TV, and even if it's just 15 minutes less, that's an extra 15 minutes I can read, and actually, again, turn off screens and then try and learn something new. I like fictional books, but I also like trying to learn something as well as I'm reading. So yeah, that would probably be something which I'm still trying to work on at the moment.
Mm. Yeah. My one is around the similar thing, actually. I'm trying to make the off times as switched off as I can, because I've got into the habit of, particularly during the first lockdown, of trying to be as productive as possible and chasing my tail a little bit and thinking that some of those downtimes I need to be doing something. So maybe if I was on a walk, I'd be thinking, well, I better listen to something, because otherwise it's not effective time.
Yeah.
What I'm realizing is, yeah, it might be that I go and listen to a podcast when I'm walking, but it's also fine to just go and have that walk. So I'm trying to build in those times in my routine to say, if there's nothing which is prescribed, that's fine, and that's essential, and that's healthy, and that's important. So I'll have my time for reading, for learning, and so on. But I'm just trying to get that bit more distance, that because no one's going to tell me to do it or not to do it. It's all about what I'm thinking. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one there. Any final thoughts, Tara? Because I think this is a really, it's always going to be a very personal thing, routine, and what works for one will be completely inappropriate for another, or someone will balk at the idea of it. But if you were to pass on anything else that you think really has worked, what do you reckon?
What's worked for me? I guess, yeah, it's the understanding of knowing yourself and how you work best, and also it's not being too rigid. And I think, you know, post lockdown, hopefully when things, you know, open up and we can see people, actually we can still use those tips and those morning routines or evening routines. And you know, when those changes do come or events come up, actually we've got that adaptability, and you know, we've got our routines brilliant, but then we can also sort of chop and change. And it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be the end of the world. We can still cope, we can still adapt. And yeah, and I think try and build those healthy habits, because once it's a habit or once it's routine, you know, you're not even gonna be conscious of it. I think I said to you before, I've made a really conscious effort of trying to meditate for 20 minutes every day. And so now I wake up, brush my teeth, and then I'm straight. I just do it straight away, and it's not even something that I think of. And now I don't even know what I would do in the morning if I didn't meditate. And so it's those things, you know, you do it for 21 days, it becomes a habit, it becomes a routine. So yeah, just be clear, you know, what you want out of your routine, and if it's really sort of worthwhile for you, and yeah, just stick to it, I guess, and try and keep sticking to it.
Yeah, those little things are the one that I would say from my perspective, that you can get put off by thinking I've got to do it all in one go, when in actual fact, if someone is thinking about introducing meditation to their routine, 20 minutes is really effective, really powerful, but getting to that from a standing start, it'd be really difficult. So can someone find in their morning routine 1 minute where they just concentrate on their breath? I think most people would say I probably could find a minute. And then the next day it might be 2, and then moving on towards 5 and getting there. So for exercise, as an example, if you're thinking about, I'm not particularly active and I'm not walking, I'm not really doing much outside of the house, maybe something to start off to go round the block 5 minutes, and then each day add a minute. I found that with press ups. Now I'm clearly not a ripped or whatever, I don't know what the terms people use are now, so that's how distant I am from it. But I've been thinking, well, no, I'd like to work on my upper body strength and so on, just another thing that you can take care of. So with press ups, I started with doing 10 a day, and then I just added one as I've gone on in this cycle, and this has been going on for only a month or so, but that just means that I don't feel intimidated by thinking, oh, suddenly I've got to push all the way to that, and it just natural sense of accomplishment each time. So Okay, plenty of ideas there. Hopefully people can take them on board. I'll just share the screen for one last time with the things to reflect on. How a routine will be set up, an addition and subtraction in a routine to help well-being, and how physical activity can be used as part of that. On the website, there is links to some of the things that we've referred to as well as other further reading, and of course the things from previous weeks if you haven't looked at them before. But for now, that's it. We'll say goodbye and see you same time next week, Tara.
Brill, thank you very much.